Subscribe to Vids Tube for latest tech-related videos. This is Jelly2E by Unihertz, a very tiny yet a very powerful Android 12 smartphone, and let's check it out. This tiny phone will only cost you $169.99 US, and you can find the pre-sale and early bird discount in the video description and in the pinned comment. Even the packaging is quite compact. Inside the box you will find some paperwork and an extra screen protector. The smartphone itself that comes with a silicone protective case pre-installed. Accessory includes a USB Type-A to Type-C charger, and I would prefer to use this over any other Type-C connector as this is angled, so you can use the phone while it's charging, unlike other chargers where using the phone with your right hand will be impossible while it's charging. And there is a lanyard loop. Now the phone itself is very tiny. It's literally a credit card size phone, easily pocketable. On top of its pocketable form factor, it only weighs about 112 grams. You will barely feel this phone in your pocket. The silicone case is also very easy to apply and has all the precise cutouts. However, it does lack the raised lip to protect the screen. But this phone comes pre-installed with a screen protector, and there is an extra screen protector included in the box. Externally, this phone has a 3-inch TFT LCD display which is bright enough for outdoor usage, but certainly not bright enough compared to the premium smartphones like the iPhone 14 Pro. But the touchscreen is quite responsive. There is a front 8-megapixel fixed focus camera along with the speaker grille. 3 tactile buttons at the bottom. The left one is to go back and the right one is to open the app tray. On the right side there is a power key and an orange accent customizable key which you can customize from settings, where I have set it to open camera on single tap, turn on flash on long press, and take a screenshot on double press. This is a very handy feature. Under the custom key, there is a SIM card tray that supports dual SIM or can take a microSD card for expandable storage. There is a Type-C port for both data transfer and charging. Now the loudspeaker is located at the very bottom. We'll test its audio quality out later during the video. And a microphone. On the left hand side there is a volume rocker, and on the top there is the headphone jack. Premium smartphone companies rant about lack of space, and this tiny smartphone, which has all its components crammed up into this tiny form factor, was able to find space to include a headphone jack despite of it having a Bluetooth, so kudos for that. Another distinctive feature is the IR port, so you can use a universal remote app to control any IR compatible device. One of the remote app is already pre-installed, and I typically end up using this phone as a remote control for my smart TVs, as my kids end up misplacing TV's remote. So this is a very handy and a very unique feature. Now in terms of specs, just pause the video to read out this detailed spec list for this Jelly2E smartphone. Few important things to point out here is that the CPU has been downgraded from its predecessor Jelly2 smartphone, which had a Helio P60 octa-core 2.0 GHz processor, to now A20 MT6761 quad-core. So the performance lag is noticeable compared to this previous version, especially during multitasking. Also, the memory has been downgraded from 6GB of RAM and 128GB of internal storage on the previous Jelly2 to now only 4GB of RAM and 64GB of internal storage. So I would suggest, if this is a deal breaker, then go with the Jelly2 smartphone, which would cost you about $200 plus US. You can check out its price from the website linked in the video description. But the previous version had Android 11 and this one has Android 12. For those whom it matters, here's the Geekbench score of this Jelly2E smartphone along with other details. And in case if you want to know more about the scores, just comment down below, and like all my other videos, I'll stay active in the comment section to answer all your questions. And you can also join Vids Tube Discord server, where we try to troubleshoot your tech problems as best as we can. That being said, this tiny phone can literally run any apps or games that you would on any other Android smartphone. However, certain power-hungry games may not run smoothly. I have tried many games including this Asphalt 9, which is a very graphic and processor-intensive game. But I was surprised that I was able to play the game quite well without any significant compromise. The frame rates were decent, there was no lag or frame skipping. The accelerometer and gyroscope were precisely able to detect the turn input during the gameplay. Touch responsiveness is also spot on. However, I would not recommend to play first-person shooting games as you will feel quite crammed up with the screen real estate and the precision of shooting the target will be a bit hard. For your information, the USB-C port does not have OTG functionality, so connecting external game controller, keyboard or mice may not work. On top of the gameplay, what I really enjoy doing on this tiny screen is watching YouTube videos. Be sure you are subscribed to Vids Tube as we have 500 plus tech videos on this channel and I bet you will find a lot of interesting videos like this one. I also like watching vertical videos like Reels on Instagram, and Vids Tube's Instagram account has a ton of cool reels like this one, so be sure to follow Vids Tube on Instagram as well. Let me give you a demo of the audio quality of the built-in speaker. This time Apple has finally included extra small ear tips and having a right. I find the speaker quality of such a tiny phone pretty good. Comment down below your thoughts. More importantly, the screen is quite bright and crisp enough that you will enjoy the viewing experience. What is not enjoyable is web browsing, as the text is quite small and on some websites you may find the clickable elements very close that you may end up tapping on wrong option. However, Vids Tube's blog, as you can see right here, is designed in a way that it won't be cumbersome for you to read our blog post. And speaking of space, let's talk about the typing experience. Right off the bat, you will make a lot of mistakes typically typing in the vertical layout, especially if you have broader fingertips. But what I find very comfortable is typing in landscape mode, as the keyboard is quite spaced out and the typing experience is great, but then you will lose the 90% of screen real estate as the entire display will be occupied with this QWERTY keyboard. Now this Jelly2E runs on Android 12 and you can even add custom themes and icon pack, but the stock layout is also great. The drop-down menu option is customizable and quite handy. This tiny phone also has a very strong flashlight, which I have set it to start by long pressing the customizable button, and it's very handy. Another secure and handy feature of this tiny Jelly2E smartphone is fingerprint unlock. The fingerprint sensor is located at a very convenient spot and it's very responsive. It just works every single time and it's really fast. This tiny Jelly2E also has face unlock and it's also very responsive and fast. However, I would not trust it as it does not have a secure face unlock like iPhones. This phone may even get unlocked by showing your own picture instead of your own face. This phone has all the other features that any other Android smartphone will have. Comment down below if you want to learn about any specific one. I have tested its call quality and from my testing it's pretty good. The receiver on the other end was able to hear me loud and clear and some of the harsh background noises were filtered out. So in terms of call quality, this phone is on par with other budget Android smartphones. This phone has a 2000 mAh non-removable battery cell, which is pretty close to the iPhone 12 mini, and honestly in terms of usage it does outlast my iPhone 12 mini from its routine usage. However, I have noticed that the moment you start playing power-hungry games or use GPS for maps or watching high-resolution videos, then the battery will start draining like crazy. Typically, it would last for about 4 to 5 hours per charge and it will take about an hour and a half to fully charge. But having this Type-C port is godsend as you can charge with any Type-C cable, unlike most budget Android phones till this date uses a micro USB port, which is a deal breaker for me. With all that said, let's talk about the camera quality and wrap this video up with my final say. This phone has an 8 megapixel fixed focus selfie camera with picture and video mode. However, I would personally not use it as its quality is not so good. Here's an example of an image and a video taken from its front selfie camera. You can pause the video and zoom in to check out all the details and you can be the judge in the comment section. What I really like is the primary 16 megapixel autofocus camera. It's pretty good for the price you pay. It has all the needed modes like the picture, video, time-lapse, and even has a pro mode where you can access pro features like ability to adjust the white balance, ISO, and the exposure. You can film 1080p footages from this tiny phone, and here's an example of the picture and a video quality, and again pause the video and zoom in to check out all the details. What I find fascinating is the autofocus capacity of this tiny phone. It's spot on and very fast, as you can see right here. You do get tiny bit of shallow depth of field with this camera. What is not so good about both these cameras is night mode, which is expected for the price you pay, as the picture quality gets degraded and gets significantly grainy with low lights. The same applies for low light video as well, but honestly the camera quality of this under $200 smartphone is honestly quite good. I've used many budget and premium smartphones, and this is quite decent quality for this price. With all that said, this phone is certainly not for those big screen lover folks out there. But if you are looking for a very tiny phone with features that won't make you feel compromised, then this is the best phone currently out there. Also, it's a good phone for kids, as you can put a SIM card in the phone and track your kids' precise location and connect with them whenever you need to, and having a tiny screen will hinder your kids' screen on time, keeping them off screen instead of those big screen phones that will provocate more screen on time. So let me know what are your thoughts, and check these tiny phones out, as you will find them enticing.